So let's go to the next one, family. Now remember, most people haven't even asked them about family. And just so y'all know, I'm going a little bit over. One of my lifelong friends, I call her my sister, and she was a little late today, so I get to go a little over. And what I like about people like Dr. Cynthia, she might be late for herself, but she's never late for the children that she worked with, for the parents that she deal with. I love it, right? So, but speaking of family, your wife takes vacations with you. Does she also work in the business? Them. No. She's still working a corporate 9-to-5 to keep a steady income and low-cost health insurance while I build up the company and takes us to the next level. The next level? Yes, the next level for us is bringing in enough money for her to quit her job and we can finally start a family. Are y'all seeing a trend? Definitely. 2.5 kids, picket fence, a dog. Seems like, looks like, sounds like. Looks like you both are planning for the American dream. Them, yes, we've been making a lot of progress too. So we already did occupation. We already did recreation. Well, we already did family. What's next? Dreams. What does the top of the mountain look like for you? Them. For me, there is no top of the mountain. I'm always looking for things to learn and new opportunities to explore. Opportunities. Now, once again, y'all remember back in school, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to give us a paragraph and we had to pick the main idea. This is the same thing. You don't have to say the last 2 to 3 words. Pick the main idea of the last 2 to 3 words. But when you do it like this, it just makes it easy and simple. Opportunities, yes. I always keep my eyes for the horizon for things that give me energy. What I'm going to say? I like that because it would have been awkward if I said, give me energy. But I said energy. Energy, yes. I do things that give me energy. If it gives me energy, then I figure out how to monetize it. You, seems like I should start looking for things that give me energy too. Looks like you've really got your priorities figured out. Sounds like you're on the right path. So notice what I didn't do. I didn't use seems like, looks like, sounds like as an opportunity to give some unsolicited advice. Seems like if your wife isn't working in the business with you, you need to find somebody else. That's not what seems like, looks like, sound. You need to say seems like, looks like, sounds like from their point of view. That's why it's called tactical empathy, right? So don't make this mistake. What's going to happen is these people are going to love you. They're going to leave here tonight thinking that you're the best conversationalist in the world. But what happens when they ask you one question about yourself? All of a sudden, you, blah, 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 blah. Answer it sincerely and concise and get back to them. Because remember, tonight isn't about you. It's about them, right? So I know what you're thinking. I know at least one of you are thinking, that's a very disingenuous way to communicate. Whoever laughed, that's what you was thinking, right? That isn't a real conversation. When do I get to talk about myself? Well, first and foremost, talk about yourself to your dog. If that's what you want to do, get a therapist, right? But if you're trying to get those options that I told you about in the beginning, you'll figure it out. But has anybody ever had a conversation with somebody and when you're talking to them, they forget what they were saying? They're like, what was I saying? You be like, I don't remember. Y'all know what that means, right? Neither one of y'all was listening. They wasn't even listening to themselves. So it's not until, because this is what's going to happen. When you get somebody talking about themselves so much, eventually they're going to be like, what was I saying? Because you got them so excited. They finally are talking about themselves. They're going to forget what they were saying. Do you know how intensely you have to listen to wait for the last 2 to 3 words? You're listening harder than you've ever listened in your life. And when you finally get to that moment to where somebody forget what they said, you're going to be able to catch them up from the beginning of the conversation until the end. And that's when you'll realize you just had the most genuine conversation that you ever had, right?